In the quiet expanse of the frontier, life was tough yet simple, shaped by the rhythm of the land and its challenges. Nestled on the edge of a small town, Martha stood out as a beacon of strength and determination. She was a woman who had weathered storms both literal and metaphorical, her spirit as unyielding as the rocky hills surrounding her home. With chestnut hair often pulled back into a practical braid and a determined glint in her hazel eyes, she was known for her tenacity. Martha worked hard on her brother's farm, keeping it running while he battled frequent illness. Her life revolved around family and responsibility, always putting others first. Across the dusty roads from Martha's homestead, Clay defined ruggedness in every way. A tall ranch hand with broad shoulders and calloused hands, he moved through life with a practicality sharpened by years of hard work. His dark hair often tousled by wind, Clay had eyes that seemed to reflect the endless skies above, a mix of blue and gray that held stories untold. He was a man of few words, favoring action over chatter. His silent demeanor gave him an air of mystery that intrigued many but drew few close. Living alone in a modest cabin on the ranch, Clay dedicated himself to his duties with unwavering focus. Though their lives intersected only occasionally, at town meetings or during market days, both Martha and Clay shared an unspoken bond in their fierce independence. They understood one another's struggles with isolation and responsibility. In this small world where everyone knew each other's story, the two seemed like unlikely allies, yet they had never ventured beyond casual greetings. As fate would have it, trouble loomed over Martha's home when her brother fell ill with a relentless fever that left him weak and unable to work. With each passing day, Martha grew more frantic as she fought to keep their farm afloat while caring for him. Their livelihood depended on crops that needed tending and livestock that required feeding. The weight on her shoulders felt heavier than ever before. In this time of crisis, necessity drove Clay to consider Martha's predicament more deeply than he ever had before. He had always admired her strength from afar but now saw an opportunity to help directly. One evening, after hearing news about her brother's worsening condition from a mutual acquaintance, Clay made his way to Martha's homestead under the dim light of dusk. Standing at her doorstep, he proposed that they enter into a marriage, a union built not on love but on practicality. This stark suggestion caught Martha off guard. She stared at him wide-eyed before processing his words fully. She could hardly believe what she heard. Clay's offer was straightforward and devoid of romantic notions. But rather than accept his proposal blindly or reject it outright, something shifted within Martha at that moment. She took a breath, steadied herself, and knew she had to speak up for what she truly wanted, not just for herself but for both of them moving forward. Martha stepped forward with newfound courage as she faced Clay, the man who stood before her not merely as a neighbor but as someone who could change her life forever if he chose to see beyond what lay before them both. The sun hung low in the sky, casting long shadows over the fields as Martha hurried about her chores, her mind heavy with worry. Her brother's illness had taken a turn for the worse, and each day brought new challenges that threatened their way of life. The plow lay idle in the field and the animals needed feeding, but all Martha could think about was the fever that raged inside her brother, leaving him helpless in their small home. His once vibrant laughter echoed less often, replaced by weak coughs and restless nights. She could hear him tossing beneath the thin blanket, his face pale and glistening with sweat. Martha sat beside him, brushing damp strands of hair from his forehead, willing strength into his frail body. Overwhelmed with fear, she grasped at hope like a lifeline. She couldn't lose him. He was all she had left since their parents passed away. Days turned into nights filled with worry. Martha tried every remedy she knew, herbs from the garden, warm broths, and even prayers whispered into the stillness of the night, yet nothing seemed to ease her brother's suffering. The townsfolk had been kind enough to offer words of encouragement, but their pity felt like an added weight on her already burdened heart. Her brother's illness was not just a physical battle, it encapsulated her fears of loneliness and loss. The days blurred together as Martha watched time slip away. With each sunrise, she felt more desperate to find a solution while trying to keep their farm from falling into disarray. She knew that without her brother's help, managing things alone would be nearly impossible. Their crops needed tending urgently, but how could she focus on the land when her brother was fighting for his life? Frustration bubbled within her as she realized that she could not do it all by herself. The thought of reaching out to Clay crossed her mind. He had always been dependable when it came to work on the ranch. But asking for help felt like admitting weakness, something Martha refused to do. She was determined to be strong, yet the strain was beginning to show. One particularly stormy evening, as rain lashed against the windows and lightning illuminated the room in fleeting bursts, Martha sat beside her brother's sickbed. She felt utterly powerless as she watched him shiver and mumble incoherently in fevered dreams. A knot tightened in her stomach. Panic rose within her at the thought of losing him. "Please," she whispered into the darkness. "You have to fight. I can't do this without you." Fresh tears brimmed in her eyes as she held his hand tightly, hoping that somehow he could feel her strength pouring into him. That night marked a turning point for Martha. She knew that something had to change before it was too late. As exhaustion wrapped around her like a heavy blanket, sleep eluded her. She needed help, real help, and for the first time, she considered that accepting assistance might not be a sign of weakness but an act of strength. Just as dawn broke and cast golden light across the room, Martha made up her mind. It was time to reach out, to let someone else in, not just for herself but for her brother's sake as well. The crisis around them demanded action, and embracing vulnerability might be the first step toward reclaiming hope. The air was thick with tension as Martha sat by her brother's bedside, her heart heavy with worry and fatigue. The sun dipped low in the sky, casting a warm glow through the window, but the warmth did little to ease the chill of despair settling in her chest. She knew she needed help, but pride and fear held her back, trapping her in solitude. As dusk began to cloak the land, a familiar figure approached her homestead. Clay, the rugged ranch hand from across the dusty road, had always been a reliable presence during busy seasons, but tonight he carried a different weight in his stride. His tall frame filled the doorway as he knocked softly, and Martha felt a mix of apprehension and relief wash over her. "Evening, Martha," he said, his voice steady yet gentle. "Heard about your brother. Thought I'd come by to see how you both are holding up." Martha offered a weak smile, grateful for his concern, yet she couldn't shake the feeling that the conversation would soon turn serious. They settled into an uneasy silence, the weight of unspoken words hanging between them like an unseen barrier. After a moment, Clay took a deep breath as if gathering courage for what he was about to say. "I've been thinking," he began, his gaze steady as he looked directly into her eyes. "You're doing everything you can for your brother, but it's clear that things are getting tougher." Martha nodded, feeling the truth of his words resonate within her. She was exhausted and overwhelmed, but asking for help still felt like a daunting task. "I want to help," Clay continued earnestly. "I've got land and resources that could ease your burden. I'd like to propose, well, a marriage." She blinked in surprise, caught off guard by his directness. "A marriage?" The idea bounced around in her mind, strange and foreign. "But you don't love me." "No," he replied plainly, "I don't love you in that way. But this isn't about love, it's about practicality. If we marry, I can help you take care of your brother and manage the farm. It's a partnership that would benefit us both." Martha's heart raced at his suggestion. She had always respected Clay's straightforward nature, but this felt different, cold and calculated. "You want to marry me out of convenience?" she asked, disbelief creeping into her voice. Clay met her gaze without flinching. "It's not just convenience, it's a solution. Your brother needs care and attention that I can help provide. We can work together to make things easier for everyone involved." She hesitated, weighing his offer against her feelings of independence and pride. While she appreciated his willingness to step in, something deep inside her stirred an urge for more than a practical arrangement. "Clay," she said slowly, "I need more than just a dry union to help my brother. I need true partnership, someone who cares for me and my family as much as I do." His expression softened at her words, and for a moment, the walls between them seemed to lessen. Clay's brows furrowed as he considered her request, realizing that Martha was not just looking for assistance, she was seeking a bond grounded in mutual respect. "Then let's find a way to create that partnership," he said finally, determination flickering in his eyes. "If this is going to work, it has to be more than just practical." Martha felt a spark of hope ignite within her, a sense that maybe this unexpected proposal could lead them down a path neither had anticipated, a journey towards something deeper than either had imagined possible. Martha's heart raced as Clay's proposal hung in the air like a thundercloud, heavy and unexpected. She blinked, momentarily lost for words, trying to process what he had just suggested. The warmth of the setting sun faded into a cool dusk as reality settled in around her. "A marriage," she repeated, not quite sure she had heard correctly. The idea felt surreal, almost absurd. "Is this really how you see me, Clay?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. "As a solution to your problems?" His straightforwardness both intrigued and unsettled her. She had always appreciated his practicality, but this proposal felt like a cold calculation rather than a heartfelt offer. Clay watched her intently, his expression steady but earnest. "I can help you manage your farm and care for your brother, it makes sense," he replied. "We can support each other." Martha's mind churned with confusion and frustration. The weight of his words pressed down on her. While she understood the practicality behind them, it stung to think that he saw their potential marriage as merely a partnership in labor rather than something deeper. "But you don't love me," she said softly, her heart aching at the thought. "This isn't just about hard work or shared responsibilities for me." She took a deep breath, pushing through the shock to articulate what she truly wanted. "I need more than just a dry union to get through this difficult time," Martha asserted, her voice growing stronger. "I need someone who sees my worth and cares for my family as much as I do." Her honest declaration hung in the air between them like an unspoken challenge. For a brief moment, silence enveloped them as Clay absorbed her words. He looked away, his brow furrowing in contemplation, clearly wrestling with the implications of what she was asking. Martha felt a flicker of hope ignite within her. Perhaps this was the breakthrough they both needed. True partnership means caring for each other and sharing not just burdens but joys as well, she continued. If we're going to marry, I want it to be because we're committed to each other, not just because our circumstances drive us together. Clay seemed to awaken from his thoughts at that moment, meeting her gaze with renewed intensity. There was something shifting in his eyes, a recognition of what Martha was truly offering. Not just help but an emotional connection that transcended mere convenience. I never thought of it that way, Clay admitted, his voice low and contemplative. I see your strength and determination, and it makes me respect you even more. Martha held his gaze steady, feeling the tension between them begin to shift from apprehension to understanding. In that moment, she realized that they were both reaching for something more than what had initially been proposed, something that could transform their bond into a true partnership built on respect and care. I believe we can create something meaningful together, Clay ventured tentatively. Let's explore this idea further. Martha nodded slowly, a smile creeping onto her face as hope began to blossom anew between them. Perhaps this unexpected proposal could lead them down a path neither had anticipated, a journey toward love and partnership forged in the very fires of necessity and shared experience. With the weight of their conversation hanging in the air, Martha felt a surge of determination. She had never been one to shy away from expressing her needs, and now was no different. Clay, she began, her voice steady despite the fluttering in her chest, if we're going to consider marriage, I need you to understand something vital. Clay nodded, his expression attentive but serious. He sensed the shift in her tone and prepared himself for what she was about to say. I need a true partnership, she continued, her hazel eyes locking onto his with fierce intensity. I can't enter into this arrangement if it's just a practical solution for both of us. I deserve more than that. I need someone who will stand by me not just as a helping hand but as a partner in every sense of the word. The sincerity in her voice pierced through Clay's practical mindset, forcing him to confront the deeper implications of their potential union. Martha's words echoed around them, and he could see the strength and vulnerability etched on her face. It reminded him that beneath the surface of hard labor and daunting responsibilities lay the intricate tapestry of human connection. Partnership means sharing everything, the good and the bad, the laughter and the tears. She pressed on, her passion igniting as she spoke. If we are to wed, it cannot be just for convenience or because we are both struggling. We must care for each other deeply and work toward a brighter future together. Clay felt his heart stir at her declaration. He had always known Martha to be strong-willed and independent, but this moment revealed another layer of her character, her desire for genuine love and connection. He realized that what she asked for was not unreasonable, it was essential. Do you really think that's possible between us? He asked softly, allowing himself to be vulnerable in return. Martha nodded confidently. I believe it is, she replied, her voice firm with conviction. But we have to be willing to put in the effort. I want to share my life with someone who sees me as an equal partner, not just as someone to help manage tasks or carry burdens. As she spoke, Clay couldn't help but admire her courage. In all their interactions, he had respected her resilience and hard work but had never before acknowledged how deeply those qualities also required emotional honesty. Martha's plea resonated within him like a truth he had long buried. Then let's build that together, he said finally, hope glimmering in his eyes. Let's take the time to truly know each other, to nurture this connection beyond the surface. Martha felt a weight lift from her shoulders as Clay echoed her desire for depth in their relationship. This was not merely a business arrangement, it was a commitment to explore what their bond could truly become, a partnership rooted in understanding and respect. With newfound determination, she reached out and took his hand lightly. If we can both promise to approach this marriage with honesty and openness, then I'm willing to explore it further, she said earnestly. Clay squeezed her hand gently, feeling a spark of excitement ignite between them. This was no longer just about aiding her brother, it was about forging a connection that could transcend their current circumstances. In that moment, they both understood that a true partnership might unveil something far more profound than either had initially anticipated, setting them on a path toward love that neither had expected but both desperately needed. As Clay stood there, still holding Martha's hand, a whirlwind of thoughts raced through his mind. The intensity of their conversation echoed in him like the distant rumble of thunder, marking the beginning of an awakening he hadn't anticipated. Her demand for true partnership wasn't just a plea, it was a challenge that struck deep into his core. He had always been the practical man, the one who solved problems with tangible solutions, but now he found himself questioning if that approach was enough. Clay leaned against the rough-hewn wall of Martha's homestead, staring out into the fading light. As the shadows stretched longer over the fields, he felt the burden of expectation pressing down on him, both from his own thoughts and from Martha's fierce determination. He remembered how easy it was to propose a marriage built on necessity. It was logical and straightforward. But was that truly what either of them needed? Martha's fierce eyes had pierced through his well-worn facade, urging him to reflect on the deeper emotions they both shared. Could they build something meaningful together beyond mere obligation? She had spoken of laughter and tears, of sharing joys as well as burdens, and he hadn't allowed himself to really consider those possibilities until now. How often had he brushed aside any hint of vulnerability? For so long, Clay had buried his feelings under layers of rugged independence and practical labor. It was easier that way, to simply focus on tasks at hand rather than confront the risk of emotional exposure. Yet here was Martha, a woman who stood resolutely in front of him, demanding authenticity and connection. He inhaled deeply, feeling a new resolve stirring within him. The image of Martha sitting by her brother's bedside flashed in his mind, filled with unwavering strength amidst uncertainty. He admired her spirit, but more than that, he thought about how lonely she must feel while carrying such a heavy load alone. Did he want to be part of that loneliness, or part of her solution? What did love mean for him? Was it simply an abstract concept reserved for only those fortunate enough to have found it in their lives? Or could it be nurtured from shared struggles and mutual respect? Clay pondered whether they could transform this unexpected alliance into something real, something worth fighting for, not just out of necessity but from genuine affection. Overwhelmed by his own realizations, Clay realized that he had been operating on autopilot, not fully aware of what lay outside the confines of practicality. If he were to truly partner with Martha, he would need to open himself up to vulnerability and embrace the unpredictable nature of love. The room felt warmer as hope seeped in around him. Maybe they could both step away from their respective fears, not just regard marriage as an arrangement but as a journey toward true companionship. We can create something more, he whispered almost to himself, allowing the words to settle in his heart. As darkness soon enveloped the fields outside, Clay looked back at Martha, the embodiment of resilience and boldness, and felt exhilaration at the possibilities lying ahead. While uncertainty still lingered like shadows beneath the lingering twilight, one undeniable truth emerged: embarking on this path together held potential far richer than either could grasp at this moment. He wanted to embrace whatever might bloom from their union as partners forged in understanding and newfound trust. As the shadows deepened around them, Martha's words lingered in the air, igniting a spark within Clay that he hadn't felt in years. The firmness of her stance resonated like a bell tolling in his heart, awakening emotions he had carefully tucked away beneath layers of practicality and hard work. Martha was not just asking for his help, she was demanding that he break free from the constraints of his own mindset and truly engage with her on a deeper level. Clay stood silently, grappling with the feelings bubbling to the surface. The vulnerable expressions in Martha's eyes were both raw and compelling. He could see the strength in her determination, but beneath that strength lay a vast ocean of longing for connection, something he had often shied away from during his life. The realization struck him: she wanted more than just a partner to shoulder burdens. She was looking for someone who would walk beside her through all aspects of life. His thoughts drifted back to his childhood, a time when he felt alive with dreams and hopes, before responsibility had dampened those feelings. Back then, love was a joyous mystery waiting to be explored, but as the years passed and survival took precedence over emotions, those dreams faded into mere echoes. Now here was Martha standing before him like a beacon in the night, daring him to reconsider everything he thought he knew about relationships and companionship. "Do you really believe we can create something meaningful?" he asked softly, almost as if afraid to voice the hope rising within him. Martha nodded firmly. "I do," she replied passionately. "But only if we're both willing to invest ourselves fully into this together." With each passing moment, Clay could feel the walls around his heart slowly crumbling, walls that had been built from years of solitude and self-protection. All at once, the weight of those walls lifted slightly as the possibility of vulnerability danced tantalizingly close. He found himself staring into Martha's eyes, realizing that what she sought wasn't just partnership, it was depth, authenticity, and undeniable intimacy. He could no longer ignore the pull he felt toward her, a deep yearning to explore not just a life together but an emotional journey defined by love and trust. The way she spoke about sharing joys alongside burdens inspired him to rethink everything he had taken for granted. "What if we failed?" he murmured hesitantly, fearing the unknown path ahead. Martha answered with unwavering conviction. "What if we succeed? What if this partnership transforms into something beautiful? I'll take the risk with you if you'll take it with me." Her fearless insistence fanned the flames of something deep inside him, a longing for connection that echoed loudly against the quiet walls of his heart. Clay realized then that love didn't have to be daunting. It could also be liberating. In this moment of clarity, a renewed sense of purpose surged through him as he felt himself drawn toward Martha's vision for their future together. No longer would he view marriage as merely a lifeline amidst their struggles. Instead, it became an opportunity for growth and shared happiness. Clay took a small step forward toward Martha, allowing himself to embrace this newfound hope. In doing so, he found not only the courage to confront his own vulnerabilities, but also a renewed determination to cultivate this partnership that promised to deepen their lives in ways they could hardly imagine yet. With trembling hands but a steady heart, He pledged himself to this journey, to explore love alongside responsibility, and in that decision lay the turning point for both their lives. As Clay stood before Martha, the gravity of their conversation lingered like a palpable force in the air. The flickering candlelight cast soft shadows on their faces, illuminating the determination etched in Martha's features. Clay felt a shift within him, a profound change in how he perceived not just the situation at hand but also the woman standing resolutely before him. In the past, he had viewed Martha primarily as a solution to his own troubles, someone who could ease his burdens and help him manage life's demands. Yet now, as her words echoed in his mind, demanding authenticity and partnership, he began to see her in a new light. She was not merely a means to an end, she was a force of nature, filled with resilience, strength, and an admirable spirit that captivated him. The more he contemplated her bravery in asking for true connection, the more admiration surged within him. Martha was not afraid to voice her needs or express vulnerability, qualities that he had long buried within himself. Each moment they spent together allowed him to peel back layers of his own guarded heart, revealing emotions he thought were lost forever. A memory flickered through his mind. When he had first seen Martha working tirelessly on her farm despite the heavy weight of responsibility weighing down on her shoulders. She had fought against exhaustion with unwavering determination, refusing to let circumstances define her. In that moment, Clay had felt a spark of admiration for her spirit, a flame that grew brighter as he recognized her value as both a partner and an individual. As he watched her now, standing strong amidst uncertainty and hardship, he realized that she possessed something remarkable, a tenacity that inspired others around her. It was this very quality that drew him closer. It ignited a courageous yearning within himself to break free from the chains of practicality and embrace something deeper. "What you're asking for," Clay began slowly, choosing his words carefully as if they were precious stones meant to be crafted into something beautiful, "is not just about sharing burdens, it's about creating a life together based on respect and mutual understanding." Martha nodded solemnly but with hope shining in her eyes. "Exactly," she replied earnestly. "If we're going to do this right, we need to recognize each other's worth." Clay felt invigorated by her words. What if their union could become something transformative? What if they could forge their own path toward love and partnership rather than merely settling for convenience? The thought sent ripples of excitement through him. His internal struggle shifted from apprehension to anticipation at the idea of exploring this new bond with Martha. She wasn't just helping him solve problems, she was challenging him to grow and evolve, to embrace the complexities of life alongside someone who understood him on a fundamental level. The prospect made his heart race anew with energy and promise. Instead of seeing their marriage as simply a lifeline amid difficulties, Clay envisioned it as an opportunity for two individuals with dreams and hopes to intertwine their lives into something far richer than either could achieve alone. "Let's build this together," Clay declared with newfound conviction. "I want us both to thrive, not just survive." In that moment of clarity and shared aspiration, they began charting a course towards an uncharted future, one filled with hope, camaraderie, and love, a journey where they would stand side by side through every challenge that lay ahead. The days passed with an air of anticipation, each one drawing Clay and Martha closer together as they worked side by side on the farm. The tension that once hung between them like a thick fog began to lift, replaced by a burgeoning connection forged in shared labor and silent understanding. Clay noticed how Martha's laughter could lighten even the heaviest of tasks, and her fierce determination inspired him to push through his own doubts. One evening, after a long day of tending to crops and caring for her brother, Martha suggested they take a break to sit outside. The sun dipped low on the horizon, casting a warm golden hue across the fields. As they settled on the porch steps, Clay felt his heart race, drawn in by the beauty around him and the woman beside him. "I love how the sunset looks from here," Martha said, glancing over at him with a soft smile. "It reminds me that every ending can lead to something beautiful." Clay nodded absently, but inside he was having a different kind of awakening. Her words resonated within him like a melody that sparked feelings he had never acknowledged before. Every moment spent with her peeled back more layers of his heart. Each shared laugh and earnest conversation deepened his affection in ways he could no longer deny. As dusk fell and stars began to twinkle overhead, he felt an overwhelming urge to confront the emotions stirring within him. "Martha," he began, hesitating slightly as he searched for the right words. "There's something I need to say." She looked up at him, her eyes bright and full of curiosity. "What is it, Clay?" He took a deep breath, grounding himself in the moment as he spoke from his heart. "From the first time we met, I've admired your strength," he confessed. "You face challenges head-on, and there's something remarkable about that. But lately, it's gone beyond admiration." His voice quavered slightly as he continued. "I've come to care for you deeply, more deeply than I ever expected. At first, I thought I was just looking for a solution to problems we both faced, but now I know it's so much more than that." Martha's expression shifted from curiosity to something more intense, hope mixed with vulnerability. Her heart raced in response to his honesty. Clay glanced down at his hands before looking back up into her eyes, filled with sincerity. You have inspired me to open my heart to possibilities I didn't realize existed. You challenged me to see beyond mere practicalities and really think about what love could be. A gentle silence enveloped them as Martha processed his words. Clay felt as if time itself had stopped, allowing only their shared emotions to exist in that moment. Martha, he continued, I don't just want us to be partners in name or necessity, I want us to build something real together, a relationship grounded in joy, respect, and love. Tears glimmered in Martha's eyes as she absorbed his confession. Clay, she whispered softly, her voice trembling with emotion, I felt the same way. And I've been waiting for you to say it. In that instant, the weight of their past struggles and fears seemed to dissipate into the cool evening air, replaced by an electrifying sense of possibility. Clay reached out and took her hand firmly, a symbol of his commitment not only to face life's challenges together but also to embrace the love blossoming between them. As they sat together under the sprawling sky dotted with stars, they both knew this was the beginning of a new chapter, a profound transformation from mere survival into something deeply enriching and meaningful. They were no longer just two individuals banding together out of necessity, they were setting forth on a journey defined by authenticity and connection, one that would blossom into lasting love. As the stars twinkled overhead, Clay and Martha sat side by side on the porch, their hands still intertwined, the warmth of their connection wrapping around them like a soft blanket. The atmosphere was filled with an electric sense of possibility, and for the first time in a long while, Clay felt truly at peace. They had arrived at a turning point, a moment that would define not only their future but also how they viewed love and partnership. Martha, he began, feeling the weight of his words as he prepared to speak from his heart once more. What we shared tonight, those feelings we confessed, they changed everything for me. I want to make sure we take this step together with a clear understanding of what it means. Martha turned to him, her eyes filled with sincerity and warmth. I agree. We need to lay a strong foundation for what we're building together. Clay nodded, appreciating her insightful response. If we're going to promise each other our lives, then we should vow to respect one another deeply and support each other through whatever comes our way. Martha smiled as she absorbed his words. Absolutely. I want us to build something beautiful based on trust and understanding. Life will throw challenges at us, but I believe that facing them together will only strengthen our bond. He felt a surge of admiration for her unwavering resolve. She had always been strong, but now there was an undeniable softness and openness that made him want to protect her even more fiercely. I used to think love was just about practical matters, Clay admitted. But you've shown me that it's so much deeper than that. I've seen your heart too, Martha said gently. Your willingness to grow and adapt shows me that you're capable of building something meaningful. Their exchange flowed effortlessly as they reflected on their past struggles and triumphs, realizing how far they had come since first meeting. Here they were now, two individuals who had faced life's hardships separately but were ready to unite their paths in mutual harmony. I want to promise you this, Clay said earnestly, his grip tightening around her hand, that I will always listen and be present for you. No matter what happens, I will stand by your side. And I promise you my loyalty, Martha replied, her voice steady yet passionate. I'll work alongside you through every challenge we encounter. Together, we can create a life filled with joy and laughter. With those vows spoken under the night sky and with stars as witnesses, their hearts beat in synchrony as they solidified their commitment to one another. It wasn't merely an agreement rooted in necessity, it was a promise enriched by love and respect. As the evening wore on, they found themselves lost in conversation about dreams they held for the future, travels they wished to take together, adventures they wanted to embark upon, and simply enjoying quiet moments on the porch with the sun setting behind them. Clay realized that this partnership would not only allow them to navigate life's uncertainties but also enable them both to thrive individually as well as together, a true celebration of their union. The world outside faded into obscurity as they focused solely on each other, two hearts interwoven in purpose and passion. They understood now that this journey would be marked not by obligation but by choice. It was a path paved with kindness and compassion. In that serene moment under the vast expanse of stars, Martha and Clay embraced their newfound vows, ready to face whatever life threw at them side by side and transform their relationship into a lifelong adventure defined by love and partnership. As the night deepened and a gentle breeze swept through the air, Clay and Martha sat wrapped in their shared warmth, envisioning the life they would build together. Their hearts brimmed with hope, ignited by a newfound love that had blossomed from necessity into something far more profound. They had both stepped beyond their fears and doubts to embrace the possibilities that lay ahead. Can you imagine what our life will be like? Martha asked, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. With both of us working together, we can create a home filled with laughter and love, not just for ourselves but for my brother as well. Clay smiled at her vision, feeling inspired by her optimism. I see it clearly now, he replied. A place where we can nurture each other's dreams while also tending to the land. We'll face whatever comes our way together. The thought of unity and shared purpose sent a surge of excitement through them both as they contemplated the challenges they would tackle hand in hand. Their partnership would be rooted in mutual respect and understanding, built on the solid foundation of love they had cultivated in such a short time. Martha's mind raced with ideas for the future, how they could expand their farm, introduce new crops, and even explore new markets together. "I envision us sitting around the table with your family and mine, sharing meals made from our own produce," she exclaimed, her voice full of hope. "We'll build a legacy that honors both where we came from and where we're going." Clay listened intently, visualizing his life through her eyes. The promise of a brighter tomorrow seeped into him like sunlight breaking through clouds after a storm. "We'll raise a family here too," he suggested quietly, feeling an unexpected thrill at the thought. "Imagine children running through these fields, learning to work alongside us." The idea took root in Martha's heart as well. She had long desired a family of her own but never thought it possible under her current circumstances. Now, with Clay by her side, everything felt attainable, a dream within reach rather than just an ambition shadowed by uncertainty. "It won't always be easy," she reminded him gently. "But if we keep communicating openly like we have been, we can navigate those hardships together." "Absolutely," Clay agreed earnestly. "We'll remind each other why we started this journey whenever times get tough." Their conversation flowed seamlessly into laughter as they exchanged stories about childhood dreams and imagined futures filled with joy and fulfillment. With each shared laugh, their bond deepened further still. It was no longer merely about survival but about thriving together. As the stars twinkled brightly above them like diamonds scattered across velvet, Clay felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude swell within him for this unexpected journey with Martha. What began as a practical arrangement fueled by necessity had transformed into something magnificent. A partnership grounded in love that transcended any prior limitations. In that moment under the vast sky dotted with constellations, they understood they were embarking on an exciting new chapter. A journey defined by hope for the future and commitment to one another. With hearts intertwined and spirits lifted high, Clay and Martha were ready to embrace whatever life had in store, all while building not only a future but also a family rooted in love and connection. Together they would craft their lives in such a way that every challenge would only serve to strengthen their bond, creating an unbreakable spirit among them, a testament to resilience forged from necessity into true love.